Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Renuka RS with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a high-level meeting on oxygen supply and availability. Centre directs states and union territories to ensure free interstate movement of oxygen-carrying vehicles. Registration process for COVID vaccination to all above 18 years to start from the 28th of April. More than 13 crore 23 lakh people administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country so far. Over 3,14,000 fresh COVID-19 cases recorded in the country. In West Bengal, 79.09% polling recorded in the sixth phase of assembly elections. Registration for annual Amarnath Yatra suspended temporarily amid rising COVID cases in Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister addresses Leaders Summit on climate, says India has taken many bold steps on clean energy, energy efficiency, afforestation and biodiversity. Indian Navy dispatches its deep submergence rescue vessel to support search and rescue of missing Indonesian submarine. And in IPL cricket, Royal Challengers Bangalore take on Rajasthan Royals in Mumbai. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, take all precautions, and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has directed officials to ensure that oxygen supply to various states happen in a smooth and unhindered manner, chairing a high-level meeting today to review the oxygen supply across the country and discuss ways and means to boost its availability. Mr. Modi spoke about the need to fix responsibility with the local administration in case of obstruction. He also asked ministries to explore various innovative ways to increase production and supply of oxygen. The Prime Minister stressed on the need to ensure faster transportation of oxygen to the states. He also stressed that the states should come down heavily on hoarding. Mr. Modi spoke about the need to work rapidly on multiple aspects, increasing production of oxygen, increasing the speed of distribution and using innovative ways to provide oxygen support to health facilities. He was informed that an elaborate exercise is being done in coordination with the states to identify the demand for oxygen and ensure adequate supply accordingly. The Prime Minister was briefed on how oxygen supply to states is steadily increasing. Against the present demand from 20 states of 6,785 metric tons per day of liquid medical oxygen, Government of India since yesterday has started to allocate 6,822 metric tons per day to the states. It was noted that in the last few days, the availability of liquid medical oxygen has been increased by about 3,300 metric tons per day, with contributions from private and public steel plants, industries, oxygen manufacturers, as well as through prohibition of supply of oxygen for non-essential industries. The officials briefed the Prime Minister on the efforts undertaken in the last few weeks to improve the supply of oxygen. The officials informed that they are working together with the states to operationalize the sanctioned PSA oxygen plants as soon as possible. Various measures are being undertaken to rapidly increase the availability of cryogenic tankers through conversions of nitrogen and argon tankers, import and airlifting of tankers, as well as manufacturing them. It was discussed that railways is being used for rapid and non-stop long-distance transport of tankers. First rake has reached from Mumbai to Vizag to transport 105 MT of LMO. Similarly, empty oxygen tankers are also being airlifted to oxygen suppliers to reduce one-way journey time in oxygen supply. Representatives from the medical community also spoke about the need to judicious use of oxygen and how an audit in some states has decreased oxygen demand without affecting the condition of patients. The meeting was attended by Cabinet Secretary, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Home Secretary, Health Secretary and officials from Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of Road Transport and Niti Aayog. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair high-level meetings tomorrow to review the prevailing COVID-19 situation. Due to this, he has cancelled his visit to West Bengal tomorrow. In the morning, the Prime Minister will review the COVID-19 related situation in an internal meeting. He is also scheduled to interact with Chief Ministers of high-burden states on the COVID-19 situation. In the afternoon, the Prime Minister will hold a meeting with leading oxygen manufacturers in the country through video conferencing.
The centre has directed states and union territories to ensure that there should be no restriction imposed on the movement of medical oxygen between the state, and transport authorities shall be instructed to allow free interstate movement of oxygen-carrying vehicles. Union Home Secretary and Chairman of National Executive Committee Ajay Kumar Bhalla has written a letter to the Secretaries of Ministries and all the Chief Secretaries and Administrators of states and union territories in this regard. Mr. Bhalla also directed to ensure that no authority shall attach the oxygen-carrying vehicles passing through the district or areas for making supply specific to any particular district or areas. It said there shall be free movement of oxygen-carrying vehicle into the city without any restriction of timing. Earlier, the centre has prohibited the supply of oxygen for industrial purposes by manufacturers and suppliers from today till further orders. However, this prohibition will not be applied to the supply of oxygen for 9 industries. These are ampoules and vials, pharmaceutical, petroleum refineries, steel plants, nuclear energy facilities, oxygen cylinder manufacturers, wastewater treatment plants, food and water purification, and process industries which require uninterrupted operation of furnaces. The registration process for COVID vaccination to all above 18 years will start from 28th of this month. All those eligible can register on CoWIN portal cowin.gov.in. The third phase of COVID vaccination is starting from 1st of next month. The Health Ministry has said CoWIN portal will be made ready for 18 plus beneficiaries by 24th of April. In this phase, the vaccination will continue as before in the Government of India vaccination centres free of cost to the eligible people, including healthcare workers, frontline workers and all above 45 years of age. During this phase, vaccine manufacturers will supply 50% of their monthly released doses to the central government, and they will be free to supply the remaining 50% doses to states as well as in the open market. COVID-19 vaccination drive is smoothly progressing in the country. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said more than 22 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine were administered to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. The ministry said that over 13 crore 23 lakh people have been inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine jabs in the country so far.
The record spike in COVID cases has increased the COVID-19 active caseload in several states and union territories in the second wave of the pandemic. The Health Ministry has said a record number of over 314,000 fresh cases were reported in the country within 24 hours. This is the highest number of new cases registered in a single day since the outbreak of the pandemic in the country. With this, the cumulative positive cases crossed the 1 crore 59 lakh mark. The ministry has said at present there are over 22 lakh 91,000 active cases in the country, which comprises 14.38% of the total positive cases. Recovery rate stands at 84.45%. The ministry informed that more than 1,78,000 people have recovered from the coronavirus infection in the last 24 hours. So far, more than 1 crore 34 lakh patients have recovered from the infectious disease in the country. The country has also touched the grim record of highest number of deaths in a single day. A total of 2,104 deaths were reported in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the toll to over 1,84,000 across the country. The Supreme Court today asked the centre to put in place a national policy on issues relating to the supply of oxygen, essential drugs and method of COVID vaccination. Taking suo motu cognizance of the prevailing grim situation across the country, a bench headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde said it will examine the judicial power of the High Courts to declare lockdown amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier on Tuesday, the Apex Court had put on hold the Allahabad High Court order imposing almost complete lockdown or curfew in 5 major cities of Uttar Pradesh. noting that high courts of Delhi, Bombay, Sikkim, Madhya Pradesh, Calcutta and Allahabad were dealing with issues related to COVID. The top court asked the centre to present a national plan to face the health crisis. The bench said these high courts are exercising jurisdiction in the best interests, but it is creating confusion and diversion of resources.
The government today said that the Serum Institute of India, SII, has not contracted all its production of COVID vaccine to the centre till 25th of May. The Union Health Ministry said there have been some media reports suggesting that the SII has contracted all its production to the centre till 25th of May this year. The ministry said these media reports are based on incorrect facts and are without any basis. It said the state governments are free to procure COVID vaccine doses from the vaccine manufacturers as per the liberalized pricing and accelerated national COVID-19 vaccination strategy. A COVID care centre equipped with 500 oxygen beds will be operationalized in the national capital in 3 to 4 days. The Home Ministry has designated Indo-Tibetan Border Police ITBP as the nodal force for operating the facility. It will be run by the doctors and paramedics of the paramilitary force. A Home Ministry order said the Delhi government had sought medical officers and paramedical staff from the Home Ministry to man the Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre at Chhatarpur, which is being re-operationalized. ITBP spokesperson said there will be 500 beds initially, but in future it can increase. Delhi has been witnessing sudden surge in coronavirus cases and over 24,000 fresh COVID-19 cases and 249 deaths were reported yesterday. This centre was operationalized last year and treated over 11,000 COVID-19 infected patients.
Chief Minister of Odisha, Naveen Patnaik, today spoke to Prime Minister Narendra Modi over telephone on the COVID situation in the country. Mr. Patnaik said Odisha will extend all cooperation in the fight against COVID at the national level, including ramping up oxygen production to assist other states in this emergency situation. Kerala recorded its highest single-day surge today with 26,995 new COVID cases. More from our Thiruvananthapuram correspondent.
The test positivity rate is at alarming 19.97%. There are presently 1,56,226 active COVID cases in Kerala. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said that the state will procure more vaccine in addition to centers' allotment immediately. He said that a detailed action plan is being formulated for smooth vaccination process as large-scale vaccination begins from May 1st. Meanwhile, more stringent measures similar to lockdown are being implemented in severe containment zones in the state. Thrissur Puram will be held with only rituals tomorrow, abiding to strict COVID protocol. Public will not be allowed for the Puram. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the registration for the annual Amarnath Yatra to the holy cave shrine of Sri Amarnath Ji has been suspended temporarily amid rising COVID cases in the Union Territory. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that in view of evolving COVID situation in the country and the need to take all necessary precautionary measures, registration is being temporarily suspended. The situation is being constantly monitored and it would be reopened once the situation improves.
In Assam, an all-party meeting was held today in Guwahati to discuss the ways and measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the state. Chief Minister Sarbananand Sonowal urged the parties to put up a united fight against COVID-19. He made a call to engage their functionaries to generate awareness about COVID-19 and government guidelines at grassroots level apart from promoting COVID-appropriate behavior among people to overcome the pandemic. The Chief Minister informed that the government adopted a 5-fold strategy to combat the COVID-19: testing, tracing, treatment, COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination. Meanwhile, Assam Health Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has urged people to remain very careful as Indian double mutant strain of SARS-CoV-2 detected in the state. In a tweet, he said that recent samples from Dibrugarh airport are found to be Indian double mutants. Maharashtra Health Minister Rajesh Tope today said that the state government is exploring the use of Favipiravir as an alternative medicine to save lives as the supply of Remdesivir is lesser than the required vials. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Talking about the oxygen shortage, the minister said centre should ensure safe transport by making provision of a strict green corridor. Mr. Tope said the sudden spike in demand has forced the government to look for alternatives like oxygen concentrator and generators. He informed that the government is in talks with plastic, thermal and steel industries who can help with generation and safe transport of this essential gas. On the vaccination front, Mr. Tope said production needs to be increased on a massive scale. He said the state government is ready to negotiate with foreign vaccine manufacturers if they can provide large number of doses at affordable prices. Nisha Rani, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Maharashtra, police registered an FIR against unidentified persons today in connection with the death of 22 COVID-19 patients at a hospital in Nashik, following the disruption of oxygen supply. The incident occurred yesterday afternoon when the oxygen supply to patients stopped suddenly because of a malfunction in the main storage of Dr. Zakir Hussain Hospital run by the Nashik Municipal Corporation. The Maharashtra government yesterday announced a probe into the incident by a 7-member committee. The government has stepped up efforts to augment the supply of oxygen in the country amidst the recent spike of COVID-19 in the country. The Indian Air Force has been pressed into action to augment the government's efforts to contain COVID-19 in the country. IAF has now started airlifting oxygen containers, cylinders, essential medicine, equipment and medical personnel to assist the government in combating the pandemic. The Air Force also airlifted doctors and nursing staff from Kochi, Mumbai, Vizag and Bengaluru for the establishment of a DRDO COVID-19 makeshift hospital in Delhi. The IAF has also airlifted DRDO oxygen containers from Bengaluru for COVID centers in Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had directed all defence establishments on Tuesday to ramp up efforts and assist civil authorities in extending all possible assistance to the people across the country. The Defence Minister attended a video conference with top ministry officials, including Service Chiefs and Chief of Defence Staff Bipin Rawat. A roadmap to assist the state governments was drawn during this meeting. Defence Minister also suggested that retired military doctors and nursing staff be enlisted for assistance if they volunteer.
The first oxygen express with liquid medical oxygen tankers will start its journey to Mumbai from Visakhapatnam tonight. The Railway Ministry said tankers filled with liquid medical oxygen at Visakhapatnam are being transported through Ro-Ro service of railways. The ministry said Railway is running Oxygen Express in response to its fight against COVID-19. You are listening to the Evening News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a high-level meeting on oxygen supply and availability. Centre directs states and union territories to ensure free interstate movement of oxygen-carrying vehicles. Registration process for COVID vaccination to all above 18 years to start from 28th of April. More than 13 crore 23 lakh people administered COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. Over 3,14,000 fresh COVID-19 cases recorded in the country. In West Bengal, 79.09% polling recorded in the 6th phase of assembly elections. Registration for annual Amarnath Yatra suspended temporarily amid rising COVID cases in Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister addresses Leader Summit on Climate, says India has taken many bold steps on clean energy, energy efficiency, afforestation and biodiversity. Indian Navy dispatches its deep submergence rescue vessel to support search and rescue of missing Indonesian submarine. And in IPL cricket, Royal Challengers Bangalore take on Rajasthan Royals in Mumbai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Evening News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that for humanity to combat climate change, concrete action is needed and there is need for such action at a high speed, on a large scale and with a global scope. Addressing Leaders Summit on Climate Change this evening through video conferencing, Mr. Modi said, "We in India are doing our part and despite the development challenges, India has taken many bold steps on clean energy, energy efficiency, afforestation and biodiversity." He said India's ambitious renewable energy target of 450 gigawatts by 2030 shows our commitment.
Concrete action is needed. We need such action at a high speed, on a large scale and with a global scope. We in India are doing our part. Our ambitious renewable energy target of 450 gigawatts by 2030 shows our commitment. Despite our development challenges, we have taken many bold steps on clean energy, energy efficiency, afforestation and biodiversity.
He said India's per capita carbon footprint is 60% lower than the global average, and it is because of our lifestyle is still rooted in sustainable traditional practices. Mr. Modi said that is why he and President Biden are launching the India-US Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030 partnership.
As a climate-responsible developing country, India welcomes partners to create templates of sustainable development in India. This can also help other developing countries who need affordable access to green finance and clean technologies. That is why President Biden and I are launching the India-US Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030 partnership. Together, we will help mobilize investments, demonstrate clean technologies, and enable green collaborations.
He said climate change is a reality for millions around the world, and their lives and livelihoods are already facing its adverse consequences. He thanked US President Joe Biden for taking this initiative. The Prime Minister was invited by the US President to participate in the summit. Nearly 40 other world leaders are participating in the summit. Election Commission has said that 79.09% voting has been recorded in the 6th phase of assembly polls in West Bengal today. The Commission said polling was conducted peacefully in 14,480 polling stations spread across 43 assembly constituencies. It said the voters set an example of COVID-appropriate behavior following due protocols of sanitization and social distancing. Over 7,400 polling stations today were monitored live through webcasting. Drones were also used to keep watch over vote proceedings. The Commission expressed gratitude to all stakeholders, especially the voters, for their enthusiastic and fearless participation in the election process today. It also thanked Divyang electors, senior citizens, service voters for taking part in elections, honouring COVID protocol norms.
The campaigning for the 7th and 8th phases of assembly elections in West Bengal have gained momentum. In the 7th phase polls, 36 seats will go to the polls on 26th of April, and in the 8th and final phase, 35 constituencies will go to the polls on 29th of April. The counting of votes will take place on 2nd of May. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, State BJP President Dilip Ghosh, BJP MP Manoj Tiwari and BJP leader Suvendu Adhikari campaigned for the BJP candidates today. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee addressed public rallies in Asanol Uttar and Barbani, Dakshin Dinajpur. More from our correspondent.
Considered to be one of the posh areas of Bonidi, Kolkata, Bhawanipur is witnessing a different contest this time. Chief Minister and Trinamool Supremo Mamata Banerjee has left her winning seat for veteran trade union leader of the party, Senior Minister of the State, Shobhandev Chattopadhyay. Actor Rudranil Ghosh, who joined the BJP from Trinamool Congress, is contesting for the seat on BJP's ticket. Star campaigners of the Bharatiya Janata Party like Amit Shah and JP Nadda had campaigned for him in the area. Home Minister Amit Shah also participated in door-to-door campaigning in West Bengal for the first time in favor of Rudranil Ghosh. Over 2 lakh voters of Bhawanipur, where Mamata Banerjee herself is an elector, will decide on 26th of April whether the slogan of Trinamool Congress's Bangla Nijer Mekei Chai will work or BJP can go ahead with their motto of building Sonar Bangla. Madhuparna Dhar Chaudhuri for AIR News, Kolkata.
In news just in, the Election Commission has prohibited any roadshow, padyatra, cycle, bike, vehicle rally in West Bengal in light of non-adherence to the COVID protocols by many political parties. In an order issued today, the central poll body said that public meetings beyond the limit of 500 persons will also not be allowed in the state. The new provisions came into effect from 7 p.m. today and will stay in place till the conclusion of the polls. Taking strong cognizance of the non-adherence of COVID protocols to be followed during election campaigning by several political parties, the Commission issued the order today. The Election Commission reiterated its direction to all the political parties to strictly adhere to the COVID protocols in all the future rallies in the state, which would be held with a maximum of 500 people.
In Odisha, polling for the by-election to Pipali Assembly seat has been rescheduled on the 16th of next month. Earlier, polling was to be held on the 13th of May. However, basing upon the representations of probable date clash with Eid al-Fitr on the 13th of May, the Election Commission of India has relocated the date of polling to the 16th of May. Informing this to the media in Bhubaneswar today, Chief Electoral Officer Sushil Kumar Lohani said that the counting of votes will take place on the 19th of May. Maharashtra has planned to provide over 27 lakh tap water connections in the current financial year under Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Shakti Ministry said that Maharashtra today presented the Jal Jeevan Mission annual action plan through video conference. Maharashtra has also proposed to make 13 districts and 12,839 villages Har Ghar Jal, aiming at 100% coverage. The state has 1 crore 42 lakh rural households, out of which 64% are getting tap water supply.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today spoke to his Indonesian counterpart, General Prabowo Subianto, over the phone and shared his pain over the news of missing submarine Nanggala and its crew members. In a tweet, Mr. Singh said India is extending its full support to the ongoing Indonesian rescue efforts. The Defence Minister said he has already directed the Indian Navy to move its Deep Submergence Rescue Vessel, DSRV, to Indonesia and also tasked the Indian Air Force to see the feasibility of induction of the DSRV intervention system by air. Meanwhile, the Indian Navy today dispatched its Deep Submergence Rescue Vessel, DSRV, to assist Tentara Nasional Indonesia, Angkatan Laut, TNI, AL Indonesian Navy in search and rescue of efforts for the Indonesian submarine Nanggala, which was reported missing yesterday. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, several areas in the higher reaches of Kashmir received fresh snowfall, while the plains were lashed by rain since early morning today. The wet spell has brought down the temperature in the Kashmir Valley. The world-famous ski resort of Gulmarg in North Kashmir's Baramulla district received fresh snowfall today. It was also snowing in Sonamarg resort in Ganderbal and Machil area in Kupwara till last reports came in. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals were 133 for 5 in 15.2 overs against Royal Challengers Bangalore in Mumbai when reports last came in. Earlier, Bangalore won the toss and opted to field. In tomorrow's encounter, Punjab Kings will face Mumbai Indians at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The temperature will hover between 8 and 17 degrees Celsius. Jammu will also have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature will be 16 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 27 degrees. Leh is expected to have light snow, and minimum and maximum temperature will be between -4 and 6 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will hover between 10 and 25 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is also likely to have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. Minimum temperature will be 11 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 28 degrees. The national capital, Delhi, will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Temperature will hover between 20 and 35 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees. Chennai is expected to have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will vary between 28 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky. City will observe a minimum temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 36 degrees. Dehradun will witness rain or thunder showers with strong gusty winds. Minimum temperature will be 16 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 32 degrees. Chandigarh will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers, with the temperature likely to hover between 17 and 31 degrees Celsius. Hyderabad is likely to have rain or thunder showers towards evening or night. Minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 38 degrees. Ahmedabad will have sunny day. Minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 40 degrees. Patna will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature will be 24 degrees Celsius, and the maximum will be around 37 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a high-level meeting on oxygen supply and availability. Centre directs states and union territories to ensure free interstate movement of oxygen-carrying vehicles. Registration process for COVID vaccination to all above 18 years to start from 28th of April. More than 13 crore 23 lakh people administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country so far. Over 3,14,000 fresh COVID-19 cases recorded in the country. In West Bengal, 79.09% polling recorded in the 6th phase of assembly elections. Registration for annual Amarnath Yatra suspended temporarily amid rising COVID cases in Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister addresses Leaders Summit on Climate, says India has taken many bold steps on clean energy, energy efficiency, afforestation and biodiversity. Indian Navy dispatches its deep submergence rescue vessel to support search and rescue of missing Indonesian submarine. And in IPL cricket, Royal Challengers Bangalore take on Rajasthan Royals in Mumbai. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.